What is one thing that Jay-Z and Taylor Swift have in common? Well, the answer is they both had to fight to get ownership rights over their masters. Masters are the original recordings of a musician's work. And this past Friday, Swift revealed she purchased the rights to her masters after a 6-year fight with investors who'd bought them from her former record label. We all remember this. In 2019, remember she announced online that her catalog was being sold and she had not been offered the opportunity to buy it herself. So what did she do? She re-recorded new versions of her old albums so she could take back some control of her creations. So why would someone not own something that they created? And what do we know about this big deal? Here with us is Variety's executive editor for music, Jem Aswad. Thank you so much for being here, Jem.
Thank you.
So first, for people who are not in the industry, what does it mean to own your masters versus owning the rights to your music?
Well, they're sort of two separate things. There's two basic forms of ownership with music. One is the song itself, which is publishing, and the other is the recording. And what this is about is the recordings. Her original recordings were with Big Machine Records. It was, at the time, a standard music business contract where the record company owns it. You don't own the recording yourself.
This is the underlying physical recording. I mean, back when it was physical, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and things are changing now, largely due to Taylor and her bringing attention to this.
So, so that original contract, the way the contracts used to work, you write a song, you're signed with a record label, that label owns it and then profits off of the replays and sales of that song, and you get a cut based on your contract?
Yeah, exactly. And it's the recording that the record company owns, not the song itself, the recording of the song. And that can generate anything from TV shows, from commercials and things like that. They can exploit it as much as they want. Now, there's a lot of gray areas in these sort of contracts, but the difference is now Taylor owns the recordings.
So you had said that this was basically the way the system, this was a standard contract back in the day. Why was this the way the system was set up? Like, I also understand that if I'm an artist and I want to record an album, I need to get a record label deal, right? And then use their infrastructure to record the music. So why is it set up this way?
Well, streaming has changed things a lot. Back in the day, you would have to manufacture the actual product of the recorded music, a CD, vinyl, 78s way back in the day, and the average person couldn't really do that. Now with streaming, you can just upload it yourself. So a lot of those walls have been broken down. You don't need the record company for quite as much. You still need it for a lot of things, promoting it to radio and things like that, because otherwise it's just really a drop in the ocean. But things have really leveled off since streaming started.
So these days, artists own a lot of their original masters.
Yeah.
So what's the standard contract now? It's been changed? It's been reimagined?
All bets are off.
Oh, there is no
I mean, they'll get away with as much as they can, quite honestly.
How big a deal is this deal for Taylor Swift, and what do we know about it? What are the estimates for how much she paid?
The estimates are all over the place. It is somewhere in the 100 millions, the mid-100 millions. We hear less than 500 million. That's what we hear. It is huge for her because obviously this was very personal for her. And what it's really, but the real difference here, because I often say Taylor Swift is the tide that lifts all boats in a lot of the ways, because yes, this is completely to her advantage, but it's also to the advantage of millions of other artists and millions of people who didn't understand the value in owning your creative work. I don't think it really occurred to a lot of people that, like, oh my gosh, somebody else owns this recording of my song. She's made more and more people aware of that, and she's made more and more artists aware of the value of recording it. Now, the way that she's done that is by humanizing it, and Taylor is very good at creating a narrative. Okay, she's absolutely brilliant at it. To be fair, the man who originally bought the catalog, Scooter Braun, she's demonized him quite a bit. I'm not quite sure it's really, he's really as bad as they make it seem. Because he was just doing business. So
speaking of doing business, it seems like every party involved with this music got real rich off of this.
Every single one.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Nobody's looking for GoFundMe at the moment.
No, there's not really anybody to feel sorry for here.
All right. Lots of money, lots of good music, and now Swifties like me can listen to the originals and not feel guilty in any shape, way, or form.
Oh, was that a thing? I can imagine that.
Yeah, it was a thing.
Oh, yeah.
It was like you should only listen to the Taylor versions. But the problem is that the Taylor re-recordings are, they're her 10, 15 years later, and sometimes you want to hear that moment in time, which is what that recording was.
Yeah.
Jem gets it. Jem Aswad, thank you very much. Appreciate it.